Hey everybody, it's Eric Balance coming to you with the Resilient Minds podcast, where I feature beautiful entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and experts in their field, where they help us discover their X factor, their experience of life, only to discover how they were able to accomplish and find out their Y factor, their big why, their purpose in life. So join me as we get to discover the beauty of our minds and how can we really continue to go after the biggest and most wildest dreams while we continue to pursue and manifest our greatest intelligence that comes from the heart. Also, if you haven't, go check out the new alignment course that I've created at www.ericbalance.com/alignment, ALIGNMENT. See you on the show. Welcome everybody to the Resilient Minds podcast. We got Mr. Evan Carmichael here. What's going on, my friend?
Great, man. Thanks for having me, Eric.
Thanks for coming, brother. It's welcome. You know, it's nice to have you. It's nice to welcome you. Tell us a little bit about your magical self. What are you up to in this beautiful world?
Oh, I don't know. Intro. Why am I here? Why did you want me on? That's probably a good intro.
Tell me.
I'd love. What do you think? Why,
You know what I love? I love
Yeah.
the fact that you want to solve the world's number one problem, but I want to know what you believe that is.
Well, it's that people don't believe in themselves enough.
I love it.
I think if you took whatever you think the problem is, cancer or whatever, like, well, I think the woman who solves cancer would have solved it by now, but she's a manager at an accounting firm hating her life because she never either didn't go to medical school or never even thought about it, or just never chased it down. Like, I think everybody has what I call Michael Jordan level genius at something. You're the greatest in the world at something. And we either don't believe in that or we don't chase it down, and we end up living a life that is less than what it could be. And so even me, I mean, my biggest problem is a lack of belief to get to the next step. And so that's what I wake up every day trying to solve. Never going to do it. And I wake up every day trying to do it.
Do you think that there's listen, where the beauty thing is like being curious about it regularly. And I think this is the curiosity, is that we're consistently doing the best that we can, which is the most beautiful thing about having compassion for oneself. But I think that the difference is that makes, what you're doing so different than what everyone else is doing is that you're aware of it and you're curious to know, and you want to continue doing it at a higher level to grow. Make sense?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think ultimately we're all built to serve, Eric, right? Like, we all want to serve. We all want to wake up and feel like we're going to do something today that matters. And some days we feel like we're going to change the world. Like, if you're listening to Eric's show, you want to have a big impact. You want to change the world. You want to have big ripples across the planet, right? I mean, that's why you're here. But some days that feels too big. And some days like, I'm never going to change. I can't do that. It's too big a mission. Cool. But you can help one person.
Or what about like yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Like, whatever you need, whatever you want to give to the world, you still need yourself. I think, though, at the end of the day, you want to feel like what you're doing is helping somebody else. Like, if you're only chasing down selfish pursuits, you won't end up being happy. Like, the happiness will come from serving others in some capacity, either on some grand scale or even just knowing that you made an impact on one person today somehow. I don't think it's possible to feel down and negative and low and have a terrible self-esteem if you are actually helping something. Like, when somebody says, thank you so much, you really helped me, even if it's that little moment, the 10 seconds of like the brightness and enjoying your life because you did something that helped somebody else out. And so that's always a path. Like, we want to feel like what we do matters and is important to somebody else. And that's what, if you can connect to that, it's hard, right? Like, you might have the greatest day of all time. Today is great. I'm talking to Eric. It's amazing. Here we go. We're changing the world. Let's do it. Let's go, Eric.
Let's go.
But you wake up tomorrow and it's like, it's you're back to square one. It's like, it's like brushing your teeth. You have to do it every day. You have to find a way to connect to the mission that you're on, to connect to serving people every single day. Otherwise, it's an easy, slippery slope down to apathy, and if you keep going down, stress and anxiety and depression and suicide, because you feel alone and you feel like you don't matter and you feel like the work you do doesn't matter. You know, like when you feel like what you do doesn't matter, the next step becomes I don't matter. And when you're in I don't matter, that's a really dangerous zone to be in. And so the path out is service, helping every day.
Do you feel, because this is actually something that I think that like most of us that are already on this path, or I know for myself, I'll speak for myself. You know, it's like I feel sometimes like, okay, one piece of the puzzle is, for example, going, and it's kind of slowing down and I'm feeling a little bit exhausted. So I want to like turn and pivot into something that also excites me. And it's a different kind of hobby, different interest, different excitement, right? So it's like one thing I'll be talking about, you know, leadership development, or the other, and then all of a sudden I'll be curious about fashion and want to like navigate those two polarities so that I'm constantly feeling like I'm adding value in different industries.
Well, here's the thing. I would encourage a perspective shift for you to see that those are not actual polarities.
Okay.
So inside, but this is the challenge we have. So inside of leadership and fashion, what actually connects them? Like, what's a core value that you have?
It's the expression for me.
It's so then that's
part.
it. But so expression, Eric is all about expression. And it's how do you express yourself better, and how do you allow others to express themselves better? Like if somebody said, Eric, man, I listened to your show, or I watched you, or I had a conversation with you, and you gave me the permission to express myself fully. Yeah. That's like the greatest thing you could hear from somebody.
I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, to me,
the job though for you then becomes to be able to communicate expression through the work. So it's not, if somebody just looked at the content, he's talking about leadership over here, he's talking about fashion over here, it feels like it's all over the place because you haven't done the job. And I mean, I haven't seen all your content, so I'm just, you know, putting that on. But when you can do the job to explain that it's expression, then it all makes sense. Then I'm watching Eric, not just for leadership tips, I'm watching Eric to figure out how can I express myself better in all areas of my life. There's this great interview with Jay-Z where he was talking about, somebody asked him, reporter asked him, like, how do you move from rapping to fashion to being an entrepreneur? And he's like, it's just all about, I think expression might have been, is either expression or creativity. It was like, it was his answer. It's
because
like,
it is, because when you're able to tap into everything, it all becomes fun. It's like, I always think of like this. If we look at the essence of our element of our expression as like children, right? Children try everything. And what if the change that happened as we like unlearn all of the bullshit that society tried to like put on us? What if we just became bigger kids in a bigger park, and the park is called Planet Earth, and our friends, like the sand park, became more with more friends, you know?
For sure. You know, there's a great quote, find people or find someone in your life not to grow old with, but to stay young with.
Yes.
You know, and that we can apply. We typically think about that as our significant others, but those could just be the people that are in your life. The people, like, you stay young by watching Eric. You know, like you get this, you're still on a parallel path. Like Eric and I are on this parallel path right now with all of you guys. And maybe I never see Eric again in my life, or maybe we start a multi-billion-dollar venture capital fund together and change the world. Like, who knows, right? Like you never know how long of a parallel path you'll be on with somebody, right? But like be on the path of the people who make you feel the way that you want to feel, that you can stay young with, that you can express yourself, that they're pushing you in a loving way, not in a like, you need to go off and do this, Eric, because you suck, right? Like everybody has an opinion on what we should do with our lives. And there's some very rare people that when we come across them, I like the expression, collect good people. It's what I like to talk about. Collect good people. When you see somebody that you like and it makes you feel better about yourself when you're around them, find a way to spend more time with them, because it will make a really, really big difference in your life. And if you're listening to this show, you are probably the one pouring into other people. You know, like we're pouring into other people. You're the most optimistic person you know. You're the happiest person you know. You're the most ambitious person that you know. You're the most service-minded person that you know. And that's awesome. Keep pouring into others. But who's pouring into you? Who's encouraging you? who's sharing in a loving way again, like, hey, you could be doing so much more. Like, why don't we do this together? And when you find those people, like, collect them, hold on to them, be around them more, because it'll make a huge, huge difference in your life.
I think that's where the bigger impact comes in, is because then you have like a ecosystem around you, and they could be doing different things that are great people in different fields, different areas, and you're just like pouring into, like you said, like it's like a energy exchange, but it could be like a business scenario where it's really grounded, and the vibration is and the frequency is really high.
I think it's just a human thing, whether it's business or not. Like, how did this happen? How did we get here? Did you DM me on Instagram, or like, what happened? Yeah. How did we make this whole thing happen?
Yeah, I DM'd you on Instagram.
Okay, so why did I say yes to this and not all the other shows? There was something in the vibe that you put up on the message. I don't remember what the message was. I mean, I can go back and look at, what did Eric send that I said yes to this, right? But there was something, even though it's like a business thing, right? There was something in the message, or I don't know if you did the video, or just there's an energy and intent behind even the words that you type off. It wasn't just, hey, Evan, come on my show. Like, there was something more to it, because, and I felt that it's like, okay, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go live with Eric and see what happens. And so, like, pouring that intention, I think it was Princess Di who would remember to smile before she would write letters. Like, back in the day before email and all that, she's like, write handwritten letters, but she would remember to smile or laugh before she would send the email or write the letter. Wow. Because it would change. Even if it doesn't change the words, it changes the vibe of the letter when somebody opens up, that they can feel that, right? Those words have feeling. And so, I'm an entrepreneur. I live in business world all the time, but like, the energy transference really, really, really matters. We focus so much on trying to build up tactics or skills, like, go do this thing, but they won't do it unless they feel that you actually know them and care about them and want them to win and love them. And so that's all energy transference. When somebody actually can feel your care, your heart, your soul, you want them to actually win, then they're much more willing to take the action, as opposed to you just telling them you have to go do X, Y, Z. And so I think it's just a human thing, business or not. If anything, we need more positive energy transference in the business world, because it has been a little too cold.
I agree. I think that there's this patriarchal misconception of masculine focused, relational skills in the corporate world, and bringing back the feminine energy, the dance, the play. It's like, I sat in a store today, and all the frontline staff were like super friendly and extremely like kind. And then a bunch of the managers, or like high level staff, you could tell they were doing like a tour, and not even eye contact. And so I get curious about this, because it's like, where is the culture coming from the top down, that it's not in a place of like of connection and understanding? They're doing their own thing in a store, but I don't know. It's like, it was a high quality brand. It makes me feel like they're not paying attention. And I think that oftentimes, if we're not paying attention to like small things, where else is those patterns showing up as well? And that's what I get curious about, is like, okay, well, this is really evident here, and that's what I notice. And so I think in my own life, the biggest thing is like, if I'm noticing a pattern in my own experience, where else is that showing up? And so one thing I wanted to really focus on is this essence of introvert that you have on your Instagram and things like this. Is it because I feel like an introvert too, like, especially like a hermit. I want to be by myself, but when I go out into public, it's like everything attracts, like everything like just sucks onto you. It's like all this energy just goes. And do you get that feeling as well? Is it something that you feel uncomfortable with? How do you deal with it? What is it that, it's almost like sometimes I try to like get out of the way because everybody's like putting their attention. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't believe that I'm an introvert and that I'm shy because of the work that I do. And it's, I struggled a lot with it, Eric. Like if you look at the growth of my YouTube channel at the beginning, it was so slow. Mostly because I thought, hey, if you're going to talk about yourself, you have to have a huge ego and you have to be a blabbermouth, and just it wasn't me. It's not how I wanted to win. And then I realized, well, I still want to serve. Like, I still want to help. How do I help? And once I could marry, if I share my story that actually can serve people, then it got me more and more comfortable. And I would never have said yes to this. Like, what? Why does he want to talk to me? It's crazy. No, I'm not coming on Eric's show just because I would be nothing about you. More, I'm just too afraid and too nervous and too shy. And like, I don't want to talk to people. I do a lot of my best creative work, when I'm by myself. I actually have no need to, as long as I have my wife, I'm pretty good. Like I don't really have a huge connection need, but I want to serve and I want to feel like what I'm doing matters and is important. So I can get really excited about a few things, right? Like if we're talking about impact and entrepreneurship, or if you want to dive into salsa dancing or League of Legends, I can get pretty excited. But anything else, I no interest. Small talk, how about that local hockey team or weather? Like it just is not interesting to me. And I think that's one of the things with introverts is we want to have meaningful conversations. We're actually okay to have conversations, but we're better in small groups or one-on-ones, and we want to have meaningful conversations, and we hate the small talk and what do you do? And just just the small talk is just not fun. I remember I was on a flight. I was going from Toronto to Puerto Rico. I was speaking at Brendan Burchard's event in Puerto Rico for his high-end mastermind group. And there was a guy next to me, and he was trying to start up all these conversations that I don't enjoy it. But I remembered everything about him. I remembered, the backpack that he had, and that he wanted a coffee once we got into the air, and he wanted a black. And, I remembered all the things about him, but I don't like the small talk conversation. And then we got there, and I took the cab and got to the hotel, and then in behind me walks the same guy. He was going to the same event in Puerto Rico. And as soon as I saw him there, I was like, oh, dude, you're an entrepreneur? Like, what do you do? As soon as I got into, service and entrepreneurship, then instantly became friends. But just small talk is not as, and maybe that's a limitation of me or something I need to work on. But the most important part of that was realizing, hey, I need to get out there because I want to serve and I want to help. And me not sharing my story is actually selfish. Like we've all been through something. And there are other people who are struggling right now with the thing that you used to struggle with. Like if you think back to who you were 10 years ago and how much you were struggling, and just a difference in mindsets and belief systems compared to who you are now, there's a lot of people who are still stuck at who you were 10 years ago. And they need help, and they don't know who to go to, and they can't connect to some of the big names out there, but they can connect to you because you know exactly what they've been through, and you can help that person. And just sharing your story is valuable. And in you being silent, it perpetuates the silence for others. And in you sharing it and expressing yourself to your word, it encourages other people to express themselves too. It gives them permission to express themselves too. They may not look to me and say that it's possible for them, but they can look at you, Eric, and say, well, Eric can do it. He's like me. He went through the same things as I did. If he can do it, then maybe I can too. And you sharing your story and expressing yourself gives them permission to take the step and start on their journey as well, which is the greatest thing of all time. So even though, we're introverts, you still want to help, still want to serve, still want to feel like what we do matters every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that this is the most important, discovery I think has been over the past 5 years, is learning how to continuously share in a place that it's not ego. Because I was doing podcasts for 2 years now, and I feel like it's always been about the guest. And so now I'm starting to do more episodes by myself, because I also have been through like a really profound journey over the past 5 years since I started working, 3 years when I started with Tony and all these other things. Spending more time about, inside, learning within, and then really building that resilience. And now being in Dubai, I think that this is something that I'm noticing more, because I think in the past I wasn't aware of the level of energy that people would like get attracted to, you know, the law of attraction. And I also really realize that when I go out into the city, and you know that all the energy, like there's a lot of energy that's really focused, and so it sometimes in the past it would make me feel uncomfortable, and I was unconscious to it. Now I'm very conscious to it, but I'm also very comfortable in my own skin. So it's like I just express myself. I don't care who's looking. I know that everybody's paying attention. It doesn't matter. And I think that this is also where you start to calibrate in your own energy as an individual, knowing who you are, attracting what, you know, all the mirrors in your external world. And then from this place, having these like meaningful conversations. And these meaningful conversations are now attracted by your aura, by your energy, by the people that like are really, attracted to the vibration, the resonance that you're giving off. And to me, it's like when people ask me what do, I say I don't even know what I do. I just, you know, I'm a creator. You know, I'm a host. I love fashion. I talk about leadership, because I can't resonate. I can't build the resonance with the question of doing. It's more about being now. And so how do you feel about the essence, or is that something that has transitioned in your language about doing versus being, or do you still feel like it's super important in the entrepreneurial world to go out there and do, to have this like masculine force? Or what about that balance of like being, you know, in your center, and then everything is kind of coming to you?
So a couple things off of that, and thank you for sharing, Eric. The first is I think you should have a hard time explaining what you do. Like I think if you don't have a hard time explaining what you do, then you hate your life. Like then you're living inside an easy to define box, and you're not happy there. And not a masculine feminine thing. That's just a human thing. Like, so you should have a hard time. It's good. It's good if you have a hard time explaining what you do. It means you're expressing yourself and you're creating a unique life, right? Which is the goal for all of us. In terms of, you know, energy, I think how I approach it is less of like a shield, you know, and trying to fight it and hold it back and like, you can't come in, and more of a dance. And some dance partners you dance with and go a long way, and some you drop off and move on. Right. And so I'm less concerned about the doing as much as, you know, when I'm here, I don't know what we're talking about. There's no like preset list of questions like, Eric, you have to talk about this or I'm not coming on, you know, like, I don't know what we're going to talk about. And I'm dancing with what you're throwing out. It's like, you're pitching and I'm catching, and then I'm throwing the ball back to you. And this is our dance. And every dance is unique and different. And you get a chance to express yourself a little bit differently. And sometimes that dance lasts 5 minutes, or it may last a lifetime. And so I just see myself kind of, that's how I navigate through it. Is if you're always kind of resistant and fighting, you're always stressed out and full of anxiety and always in protection mode. And that when you're deep in protection mode, you're not in a creative space ready to make something amazing and abundant. Right. And so it's like, okay, that doesn't work for me. I'm moving on to the next dance. And just kind of dancing through the energy. And the more you can actually feel it, the first step is awareness. It's great that you even caught it, because you're feeling like stressed out and overwhelmed, but it's like, you don't know why. Okay, well, now we get a sense of why, but now you get to choose a different dance partner. And that's how I see it. And we're just dancing down the path.
I love it. It's and this dance is so important, rather than being worried so much about, you know, the outcome. I think the you know, that old saying, you know, like, enjoy the journey. Don't expect kind of the destination, you know. This is, I think, the for me has been one of ultimate fun, like having lots of fun and enjoying that. So
well, and here's the trick to it. So people talk about focus on the journey instead of the destination, but while you're on the journey, don't forget about the company.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Like,
yes,
it's the company
totally.
along the way. It's not really even just the journey or the destination. It's the company you're with.
It really
who you're dancing
is
with along the way.
It really is. It really is. Brother, I know we have like 2 minutes left, and I want to really honor your time and energy. I have a very like important question, because I think this is like, what would you do if you had 3 days left to live?
Make sure I'm on Eric's show, you know, it's a good start. I don't know. I mean, part of me is like, I live as if that is, you know, like I did my training with my group of movement makers this morning. I have a whole day packed with other interviews, and like, this is important work. And part of me says I would still do this. And then part of me says, well, I would probably spend time with family, and, you know, I just wouldn't sit on a beach for 3 days. It's like, I want to get the most out of this, but I almost live as if that was it. Like, I'm sure it would take a day to just sit with my wife and whatever our final, you know, time would be together. But most of what I do is basically living like that. Like, it's not living for where I'm going to be in a year or 10 years or 20 years. Like, I don't even know what day of the week it is. I don't, when people ask me how old I am, I have to look down the calendar to see what year it is. Like, what month is it? I have no idea. It's like, it's present minded, and that this matters. This moment matters. So I'd be doing this. I'd be talking to Eric. I'd be on the show, and we'd be having a fun final dance together.
You're a blessing, brother. This is so beautiful, because this is exactly the way that I think, and you're the first person, you know, that has answered it in this capacity. Everybody I've asked this question to, you know, has talked mostly about their family and things like this, which is great. Nobody except you, and like I've always has said that I'd be doing exactly what I'm doing right now. Nobody. And so this is like a really huge testament to you, because I think that what most people, in my eyes, should be doing is living like there's 3 days left to live, or living like there's 1 day left to live, because ultimately tomorrow can be our last day and we don't know. And so when we can express in that capacity, like full out, no fear, full faith, let's go. And so I just want to say thank you, brother, for coming on the show. Your gift, it's really always nice. And I look forward to spending more time connecting deeper.
I love it. Thank you for the dance, Eric.
Talk soon. Hey, everyone, and thank you so much for listening to The Resilient Minds. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please make sure to go comment and like and follow us on iTunes or Spotify. And make sure, please make sure that if you really love this, to share this episode. And make sure that you're inviting all your friends to like it, as we continue to unfold what the beauty of our minds does. More importantly, how powerful our heart level of intelligence can be when we combine our heart and our brain together. And more importantly, check out the alignment course that I've created. It's seriously there for you to take advantage of at www.ericbalance.com/alignment. See you on the next show.